Oh my god. Oh my god.
This league is killing me.
Okay, wow. Well, first off, to give OKC credit, they did get 5 first-round picks from the Clippers and 2 pick swaps. I think that's all the Clippers were legally allowed to give them. And they got all of it. Plus, they got the Clippers' best asset, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who now has to play alongside Westbrook, so there goes his career. I expect OKC to be looking to trade Westbrook after this move. The thing is, nobody wants Westbrook. Not at $40 million a year. Nobody wants Westbrook. So I really don't know where they could trade him, but they're gonna try. But we're not here to talk about OKC, are we? We're here to talk about what I think is and should be the new championship favorites for the 2020 NBA title, the Los Angeles Clippers. Right now, the Clippers have 8 rotation players: Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Maurice Harkless, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Landry Shamet, Rodney McGruder. Their number 1 priority should be re-signing Zubac, and it seems like they will. Let's break down this team right now, player by player. Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best player right now in the entire league, certainly the best player in the playoffs last year, night in and night out. Paul George, who was top 5 in MVP voting. The two of them, when they try, are maybe the 2 best wing defenders in the entire league. Not to mention Patrick Beverley, who is one of the best at his position defensively. Harkless is a decent defender with good size. McGruder is also a really good defender. Out of all of these players, Rodney McGruder is probably the least known player. The guy went undrafted, spent some time between the G League and the NBA, got injured last year, which is when he got waived. Really good 3-and-D player, honestly, for $5 million a year if he can stay healthy. Plays very hard, physical, dives for loose balls. I don't know if this is an actual nickname, but I have heard some Miami fans call him the scavenger before because of just how hard he plays. Kind of like Patrick Beverley, honestly, just without the yelling and chest thumping. He's essentially a guard. You can play him at small forward if you want to, but he doesn't really have the size to guard the really big forwards like LeBron. But then again, that's what you got Kawhi and Paul George for. So right now, what you can be sure in terms of the starting lineup is that it's going to be Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi, and either Zubac or Harrell, hopefully Zubac. The 5th player is a little bit interesting. To me, there's 3 options you can go with. You can go with Rodney McGruder, Landry Shamet, or Maurice Harkless. Now, with Landry Shamet, you have more offense. You have more shooting. Although with Kawhi and PG, I don't exactly know if they need Landry Shamet in the starting lineup. It could still work that way. With Harkless, you have more size. Now, this does depend on the matchup a little bit, but I would say against most teams with 2 guard lineups, starting lineups, I'd want McGruder in the starting lineup, certainly over Harkless, because McGruder would be better at guarding guards than Harkless, and McGruder's a slightly better shooter. Now, if you go up against a team like the Celtics, let's say, and the Celtics are running Tatum, Brown, and Hayward in their starting lineup, if they're gonna try that, then yeah, I think you can start Harkless along with Kawhi and PG so that your 3 forwards match up with their 3 forwards. Although Rodney McGruder wouldn't really have trouble guarding someone like Jaylen Brown. Like maybe Jason Tatum, but he could guard Jaylen Brown. And then let's move to the bench. Lou Williams, the best bench player in the league, period. I mean, with him, you don't even have to stagger Kawhi and PG's minutes because you don't lose any offense when Lou Williams comes on the floor. There's a lot of interesting lineups you can play with here, and we can think about what the Clippers' crunch time lineup would look like. So certainly Kawhi and PG would be in it. I would say Lou Williams will be in it too, with a slight caveat. Last year, Lou Williams always had the ball in his hands during crunch time and was asked to make plays and basically run every pick and roll. Now you have Kawhi and Paul George. Paul George to a lesser extent because we don't ask old Paul here to make any important shots, but it still pays to have more than one really good shot creator in crunch time. And just as a pure shooter, Lou Williams is worth having, but I think you will see times when Lou Williams is not on the floor during crunch time. If the Clippers feel like they need more defense, then they'll put on Patrick Beverley and Rodney McGruder. This may sound far-fetched to some of you, but I would also experiment with some really, really small ball lineups. I'm talking lineups with Kawhi and Harkless at center. So think of a lineup like Patrick Beverley, McGruder, Harkless, Kawhi, and Paul George. That could work. I mean, your defensive scheme would have to change. You'd have to do a lot of double teaming. You'd have to trap a lot of pick and rolls so as to discourage the opposing team from getting to the rim. But under certain scenarios, that lineup can work in today's league. And it may be a nightmare for some teams. to try to defend. So the number one priority right now for the Clippers is re-signing Zubac. If you do that, you have your playoff 9-man rotation. You really don't need anything more. JaMychal Green would be all right, but I don't think he's as necessary, and I doubt the Clippers can offer him as much money as other teams can if they spend some of that money trying to get Zubac. You're looking at possibly the best offense in the league. I'd be shocked if the Clippers don't end up top 3 in offense, and I think they are a top 10 defense. Now, last year they were bottom 10 in defensive efficiency, partly because Patrick Beverley missed a good amount of time, but also because you play Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell a lot of minutes, and both of them are very, very poor defenders at their positions. Now, with Kawhi and PG, that helps out a lot, and I think that can get them somewhere to top 10. 80% of championship teams in NBA history, they're usually number 1 or number 2 in either offense or defense, and they're about top 10 in the other. That's the traditional standard formula. And even though the Clippers really did give up a lot to get Paul George, you got Kawhi and Paul George under contract for the next 3 years, both of them in their absolute primes. It really doesn't matter. I do give the Clippers an A+ on this deal and the offseason in general. They did an awesome job. And that's all I have to say. I'm really looking forward to next season, and I will see you next video.